Hello folks, and welcome to another segment of Cranial Cooking. Being a college student, I am intimately familiar with the ways of ramen, and one of the things that people know about ramen is that it's not the greatest thing for you. But it can be. Here's how to make yourself a delicious pot of ramen that actually has some really good stuff for you. For this dish, you will need cutting boards, a saucepan, a frying pan, a stirring spoon, a spatula, 2 separate kitchen knives, a packet of ramen, any flavor will do, I'll be using chicken, a meat that matches up with your ramen flavor, celery, carrots, soy sauce, and cooking spray. First thing we're going to do is chop up our vegetables. The reason we have 2 separate knives and cutting boards for this is that it's always a good idea to have 2 separate cutting boards for meat and basically everything else, just to avoid any sort of cross-contamination. You're just going to cut it up into slices about that thick, nothing too big. One thing that is always important to remember is you want to have everything cut up and ready to cook before you actually start cooking anything. Because if you try to do some of the cutting while you're cooking, you're not going to get everything cooked right because you're just not going to have the time to do that. Once you've got your vegetables all cut up, you can go ahead and move on to cutting your meat. You want pieces about that big. And don't forget to wash your hands every single time you have been handling uncooked meat. Alright, time to start cooking up the meat. You're going to take your cooking spray and just kind of coat the pan. And just take your meat and put it right on into that pan. What we're going to do to add a little bit of flavor to this meat is just take some of this soy sauce, just put it right on there in the pan with the meat. Just kind of mix it up. It's going to be fragrant and it's going to be delicious. And at this point, your water should be pretty much at a boil. So as you're cooking that meat, make sure to keep it moving around so it doesn't burn. You're going to take your ramen, make sure not to put the flavor packet in there by accident, and you're just going to put it right into that water. Take out your flavor packet, set that aside, and we'll start cooking the ramen. Remember to keep that meat moving at all times. Your meat won't take very long to cook at all, so once it is cooked, go ahead and just take that out of that pan and put it into a bowl. Make sure to turn off that burner. Oh, and while we're waiting for those noodles to cook a little bit more, one thing I forgot to mention in the ingredient list is an egg. They can be quite tasty if you put them in ramen just the right way, and I'll show you how to do that when we get to that step. Once your noodles have been cooked a little bit, just kind of take your spoon and break them apart from that block. And then you're going to take your flavor packet, rip that baby open, and just go ahead and dump it in there. And make sure you stir in that flavor packet real good. And once the flavor packet has been stirred in there, you want to give it just a couple minutes to let the flavor really soak into the noodles. Once the flavor packet's been soaking in there for a little while, go ahead and take your meat and dump that on into your ramen. Go ahead and stir that on in there. You're going to give that a few minutes to let the flavor packet of the ramen and the flavor of the soy sauce kind of marry together. And once the meat and noodles have been in there for a little while, you're just going to take your vegetables and just kind of dump all those on in there. And once those vegetables have been in there for a little while, you're going to put in the egg. Now pay very close attention because this bit's very important. You want to crack it just a little bit, and you're going to want to open it with your thumbs. Here. You see that cracked part right there? You're just going to put your thumbs in between there and open it very slowly, kind of towards the side of the pan. And it should just be in a neat little pile inside the ramen there. And what you're going to do is you're going to take your spoon, go all the way to the side of the pan, and kind of flip some of the noodles up on top of it. Maybe a little bit of a slow-going process. And cover up the egg with those noodles, and that's going to help it cook better. And once that egg's been cooking in there for about 5 minutes, you can move that off of the burner and very slowly and carefully pour the contents into your bowl. And there you have it, folks. A nice steamy bowl of ramen that is not only pretty darn tasty, but pretty darn good for you as well. Hope you've enjoyed this segment of Cranial Cooking. More to come in the future, I hope. And if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and enjoy this now. I'll see you next time.